Hey, and just a quick reminder that the audio-only versions of these Vital MX interviews are available on the Vital MX podcast page. Search for it anywhere you get your pods and let your friends know about it. What's up, guys? This is Darkside from Vital MX. I'm going to do a few interviews with a bunch of the mechanics that were at Motocross Nations this weekend at Redbud. First up, from Star Racing Yamaha, Justin Cooper's guy, Daniel Mohit Kaslu. What's up, Mohit?
How we doing, man?
Doing good. Trying to recover from an exciting weekend. You were actually part of Team USA, the winning team. Dude, what an experience.
Yeah. For me, first and foremost, I have to definitely show a lot of gratitude and appreciation for any and everybody that's involved with Team USA. It's an actual team, right? I mean, obviously being a part of Star Racing, I'm a part of a team. But, with Team USA, I didn't know kind of necessarily what I'd be getting into. And, knowing that it's a group effort, right? For me, being a small part of it, it's a dream come true. And, obviously having a guy like Justin, that's a big piece of the puzzle too. A guy that takes pride in his country, takes pride in his craft and in his work. And, he's quietly confident in his abilities.
What was the stress like or the pressure like for you on the mechanic side leading up to this event and then day of?
This starts months prior, right? Right around the time of Unadilla, it was between Christian and Justin. And so, we built a 250F for Christian, by we, I mean Duff, his mechanic, and everybody at Star Racing. And, man, they let him go at it, and I think that a lot of the public doesn't know those things, right? They don't know that these dudes battled it out for 30+2 at the farm and at MTF and GPF and everywhere we could get them to go, and all the media and stuff prior had things to say. So that just kind of lit a fire under Justin's butt. And,
and yours.
And mine, we were doing the work during the week and we did the work, on the off weekends and, right after Paula. I think I flew back Sunday at 6 a.m., landed at noon and, went straight to the shop, man, and, there's some stuff that we were, able to venture and use that, go into a race like MX of Nations, it opens, the GP rule book, right? So there's some parts that we're not allowed to use for nationals, right? Suspension stuff and things of that nature that are visible to the average person that knows what they're looking at, right? So, we're able to use some of those things and, get some testing done. And, it was a tenfold, night and day effort from everybody. And our bike was good and starts were good. And I think it showed, man.
What'd you think of the multi-day format?
Dude, it's tough. I'm still trying to recover. If you want to be honest with you, I don't know if it's all the liquor we drank or if it's, the fact of, I think it's multi-day format. To me, it's like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So, and for us, being as how it went down here in the U.S., we're trying to accommodate, Yamaha Europe and all these different teams and things. So we were there Wednesday, but, the 3 day format as far as Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah, I'm not a fan.
Sure.
Do I think it's maybe better for a spectator perspective? Maybe, it might be better to have it like a weekend thing, for us, a crew, it's tough, but I could understand where a fan or somebody of that nature enjoyed it because it made a whole weekend out of the deal.
What about having to build? So you had to build 2 bikes, prep 2 bikes, clean up 2 bikes, but at the same time, you have the opportunity, or I think, if I'm not mistaken, I overheard you say after the first moto, we're not using that bike, we're using another bike. So in race mode, it saves you a little bit of work, but building up to race time, it was a lot of extra work.
For sure. No, and you're 100% correct. So, and to put it in perspective too, like the bike that we rode in Moto 1, we used as the sight lap bike for Moto 2, right? So I still cleaned it. Actually, my engine guy, Trevor Carmichael, man, he was a huge help to me this weekend. Can't give enough props to him. He was my right-hand man, right? So literally after Moto 1, we came back. I looked over the motorcycle outside the canopy, got it ready to wash. And, he's like, hey, grab your transponder. You're not riding that bike the next moto. We all agreed on this prior. Go make sure your other bike's good, right?
Yeah.
So I was sitting there with a bike from the day prior's qualifying that we raced in qualifying that I prepped back up. We didn't wash, so it wasn't exposed to water, anything of that nature. The bike I used for free practice early in the morning ended up being my bike for the second moto. So man, it's hard to math it all out, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a method to our madness, but it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work building 2 identical motorcycles. And we had Justin in the free practice on Saturday, go out on both, 20 minutes on each. And if you go look at the lap times, he did 159s on both motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
So it showed us early on that, hey, both bikes are equal. He did have his preference. He said, hey man, this one feels a little bit more racer friendly, so to speak, and one's a little bit more stiff. And so, we addressed that throughout the day and, made sure that was good, but it was minor things.
What was your reaction, your mood when you woke up Saturday morning to the weather?
You mean Sunday?
Sunday
race
Sunday
day.
morning. Sorry.
Yep,
Sunday. Yeah.
Yep. So Sunday race day, I woke up and man, I don't know. I don't want to sound arrogant, right? But I felt like that it was going to be a good day. And you don't get that much in racing. I've only had it a couple times, right? I'll tell you that straight up, right? There's times when you go racing, and if you do this for enough years, I feel like I've had a lot of great mechanics over the years tell me this, right? And I always, to myself, was like, man, that dude's kind of a little out there. It's a little brake cleaner he's been breathing or gas or something.
Yeah.
He's a little out there, right? And I think that riders have said it too, where they like get a start in the main event. And they're like, dude, it's the easiest day I've had, right? Like it was just everything clicked, right?
In a zone.
Not saying I had a perfect day by any means, right? But when I woke up in the morning, to me, it was like, okay, all right, if this is what it brings, then we're ready. Back at the farm, man, we've done some mud days. I'll tell you that. Straight up dark side. We made sure we put that kid through hell before we went racing. Like we weren't, and we do it every week, right? But there was definitely more emphasis the last 4 or 5 weeks of outdoors when everybody's kind of tapering off. Justin, you're getting in the hurt locker every day, buddy. They're doing 20s, you're doing 35s, right? Or they're doing 30 plus 2s, you're doing 40s. All in all, there was no nervousness with the weather on Sunday. It all kind of led up to that, and all the boxes were checked prior, and it was nothing new that we weren't prepared for, right?
Last question for you. Any special moments, takeaways away from the actual racing, whether it just be being with the team, the camaraderie, revving the shit out of the bikes post-race? Like what was some of the best moments?
I think for me, my biggest takeaway is the camaraderie and the selfishness or selflessness, I guess I should say, of the team, right? Like we all were there for each other. I think that kind of showed from day one. It's actually funny, man. A guy like Zim, who's Sexton's mechanic. I've worked with him before. We briefly worked together at Kawasaki. When I was on the Team Green side, he was in the Fab side, R&D side there. And we'd see each other from time to time. So it's crazy how life brings you back around, right? Damn, it's crazy. So Zim and I'm sure a year and a half ago, never imagined we'd be in this position, right? So knowing I'm going to war with a guy like that, which is what racing is, I'm fine with that. And then, Jelly, who's Tomac's guy, it's a pleasure to work with a guy like that. Him and I have known each other for years. He's a great guy, right? So, and there's no question he's great at what he does. I'm confident in his ability, and it's awesome to go to war with those two guys, right? So for me, my biggest takeaway was the shirts, or the teams didn't matter anymore. So for me, that's kind of what I take away is the unitedness of being a part of Team America, right? Team USA. I think that it takes some pride to operate at that level. You have to put your own goals to the side and operate as a team, right? This weekend kind of gives you a little bit of faith in that stuff and shows you that, people are still good, and, everybody ultimately understands the sacrifice that was, brought years and years and years ago, and willing to kind of still celebrate that and, do what they can to make sure that's still represented,
Awesome. Good stuff. Daniel, thank you for spending some time with us, man. I know you're busy and you said just got home, but I appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time.
Yes, sir.
All right, up next, I've got Jet Lawrence's guy, Christian Ducharme. Christian, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Just got back from Redbud, just enjoying the one day off before we get back to, grinding.
One whole day. Awesome. Well, I want to ask about your experience at Motocross of Nations, just as a whole. What was the experience like being there?
That was my first time being at Dis Nations, and it was a totally different experience, honestly. Like, it was between the fans and the event as a whole, and like my side being a mechanic, it was a lot to take in for sure.
What about stress and pressure? I mean, your job is full of stress and pressure on race day, during the week. I mean, these guys' lives are in your hands a little bit, but leading up to this event, obviously probably the biggest event of the year for the sport. Was it any different?
I mean, definitely the week after Paula, we were testing 450 stuff, finalizing some stuff, some settings, and then, having to build 2 bikes and get the truck reloaded and all the stuff ready to go. Then we leave, we get there, and it was basically when we landed on Wednesday until we took off, yesterday, it was just wide open the entire week. Setting up 3 trucks on Thursday, and then Friday, last minute suspension, and then any other last minute details we got to do to the bikes. And it was a different format than what we're used to here in America, the 2 days of riding. Mm-hmm. You got your long open practice session on Saturday, then, your qualifying race. So all that was quite a bit different. The stress and pressure, I mean, with the mutter definitely added more stress onto things, but the 2 bikes, as much of a pain in the butt it is, it actually helped a lot. Because, I mean, we only had like 25 minutes in between motos, like from, get to the truck, leave the truck, to go back up. And then I have 25 minutes to get that one bike, if you were to wash it, put a clutch in it, all that, you would have been stressed for time. Yeah. Like really bad, where this one we got back, set tire pressure on the other bike, and we just, wait till he's ready and head back up. So that made life, really easy. But, between the whole sight lap, do the sight lap, come back, then you change your wheels to try to get them some more traction on the mesh and all of this. So by the time they come back from sight lap, you're wide open, putting a wheel on, checking, topping off fuel, wiping excess mud off the bike. And like you were thrashing from the moment they come back from sight lap until the gate drop, and you're kind of just standing in the mechanics area thinking like, what the hell just happened in that last 5 minutes?
Right. Yeah. It's probably just a blur. For the actual event, did it seem like there was more time, after qualifying, after practice, you have all, the rest of the evening? Did that help at all? Or did you not like it? Would you rather it be just one day and let's get it over with?
I would rather be one day. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's get it over with. It was cool to have a few, sessions to ride both bikes, shake both bikes down, make sure they both feel the same, try couple different suspension settings. But in reality, you only have one session, and then, you can put a different suspension on both bikes, to try 2 different things. And then you have a qualifying race. So, whatever setting you choose, you just have to go try to race it. And if it's not the direction you wanted, well, you have to settle with it the whole 20 minutes, whatever it is for the race. And then, that's the only 2 times on the track Saturday.
Right.
Now you got to, think about how you want to start Sunday. So you discuss what direction you want to do. Now you have a, brief warm up Sunday morning, but the track's pretty smooth. So you don't really know exactly how your suspension will handle for the race. And now you're going into the race. I would rather do it all in one day because you're on the same track condition.
How about the having the wash bays handy? Was that something you'd like to see implemented?
Man, we're so blessed here in America to have our wash bays at our truck.
Oh yeah. But do you feel like MX Sports, that'd be something they should implement?
No.
MX
Sports should continue having us wash at our trucks.
Okay. Why?
That was a hassle because we were parked one of the furthest away from the wash bays.
True.
And then it was a mission to get back.
Okay. Yeah.
I would, plus you down there, everyone doesn't really have pressure washer etiquette. So you're just getting hammered by the guy next to you.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're plastering in mud from the guy next to you. And I know.
Okay.
The Euros can keep that.
That's interesting because I'm thinking like doing it at your truck, you're making a mess around the pit, and I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking it's beneficial to have it away from you. But yeah, now that you say that, interesting. Would not have thought that. Okay. How about Sunday morning, you wake up, you see the weather, you get to the facility and see how much water's hit that. I mean, what was the mood of the team? What was the mood of the fans coming through? Because it seemed like the fans kind of lost a little bit of level of enthusiasm from Saturday to Sunday.
I don't think so. I think the fans all kind of knew what they were, getting in for.
Yeah.
There were fans, penguin sliding through the pits, and this and that in the mud. Obviously, I'm sure some were bummed.
Right.
You got to have an umbrella and be bundled up and whatever. But I think all the fans that were there truly rain or shine, snow or hail. They don't care. They just want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
in
fun
the grand
event
scheme
either
of
way.
things, I'm sure they all would have had a little more fun if it was nice and sunny and 75 degrees.
Yeah. Obviously, you work for Jet, so you're part of Team Australia. But then, you know, you're American. So, like, what was that like working for another team? I wonder if there was a little bit. Man, I sure would like Team USA to win, but then I also want my guy to win. Was there any of that?
Oh, it was for sure. Like, you know, I want to see America, you know, bring the Cumberland Cup back home. But
Yeah.
also, like, when you're like, in the moment of it, like, obviously, like, I want my guy to win. You know, every time he lines up, I want him to win. And then, like, it was so weird because I found myself halfway through the day, like the competitiveness in me, being so competitive, going, well, I want to see, you know, Australia give America a run for its money. I like both the Lawrence Bros, and you know, I wanted to see us up there to bump elbows and, you know, make USA earn it.
Were there any special moments just with the team, with fans, that you might want to tell us about?
I think the biggest thing was on the podium. They just played the instrumental for the, for the anthem.
Yeah,
and then halfway through, all the fans chimed in and started singing it. You know, and it was like thousands of people that were just singing the national anthem at the end. I thought that was pretty cool.
I cried a little, dude.
I thought that probably topped my weekend.
Yeah. I videoed it. I've got it on my phone, and I had some tears running, man. It was pretty strong. It was emotional.
It was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
All right, Christian, that's all I need, man. That was really cool to get your perspective on it. I appreciate you.
All right. Sounds good.
The next mechanic I've got is Dylan Ferrandis' guy, Alex Campbell. What's going on, Alex?
Oh, just living the dream, hanging in there. Just finished up the 2022 season with Motocross of Nations being the last race of the year for us.
How was that for you?
It was good. It was my first ever Motocross of Nations. First time ever doing a 2-day race event as far as motocross. And it went pretty good. Saturday, Dylan won his qualifying race. And then Sunday was muddy, but everything went pretty smooth and had some decent results in there. And Team France got on the podium for second place behind the USA.
Did it seem any different from the stress point or the pressure point for you?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Just because normally you're in with your own team and doing your everyday things at a race, a national, whatever. And when it comes to Motocross of Nations, like there was a lot of people obviously on Team France that I never met before. So you kind of have a lot more eyes on you, watching you doing things that you normally wouldn't. So I think that kind of adds to like, wow, like there's 10 people here from Team France and I know none of them.
Right.
And they're all here like for us, you know, to go out there and show what we got. So I think that is a little bit added stress. And then also normally in a season, you kind of have like, you have 12 rounds to have a championship at the end of it. Whereas this is just 2 days of the world championship just in 2 days. It is a lot packed in just to 2 days for how much is going on. And the weeks leading up to it, a lot of prep work goes into it and having 2 bikes teched and things like that. Like there's a lot of focus just on what goes on in those 2 days.
Speaking of the 2 bike situation, was that a benefit or was it a negative overall?
I think it is a benefit, just because Dylan was MX Open. So that meant he was Moto 2 and Moto 3 back-to-back motos. And it was muddy, yes, but if something happened in the first moto or whatever it might be, and you can just switch to the other bike for the next moto, that is kind of nice. Like you don't have as much stress as like, oh, we got to swap this engine or swap this part if there's a crash or whatever it might be. But also building 2 bikes identical, you can have all the same parts on both bikes and all that stuff and build them both yourself. But there's still like small differences in 2 different bikes. Like you got to adjust the levers the same, the handlebars the same. One seat might be newer than the other and vice versa, whatever could happen. And then when you have a picky rider, it makes it even more stressful to have all those things dialed. Like you might take all the measurements you want for your front brake lever and make sure it's just as far away from the handlebar as the other one, but it might engage just the smallest bit harder and the rider can pick up on that. So it's kind of tough to make 2 bikes exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's a difficulty of it. But it's also nice if there was an issue or a crash, you could just jump on the other bike for the next moto.
How was it for you working for the French team, but then I have to assume also wanting the USA to probably win.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I mean, Dylan obviously got asked by his country to go. And if Dylan says he's going to do something like that, that means I'm in for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad to be there and get to do a Motocross of Nations, because if Dylan didn't get asked, I wouldn't have been able to go and have a rider on the gate. I still would have had to go and assist Team USA, because I'm part of Star, and Eli was going, and then Justin was going as well for the 250 squad. But it is a little bit different dynamic, because like you're being from the U.S., we're all proud to be from the U.S., but you're working for Team France and stuff like that. And then there's people, obviously some crazy USA fans that want to talk crap on the French or whatever it might be. So you're kind of just like, just let them talk crap, even though, or like you answer back to them in perfectly good English. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm from Minnesota. Like, we're not all like what you think we are. Like, you just need to watch racing and be a fan of it.
Yeah.
So that part's it's different when you're there. From not your own country, but at the same time, I'm thankful because I was also there because my rider is one of the best riders from his country. Even because I ended up using the same bike. I was Moto 2 and Moto 3, but I wanted to keep Dylan on the same bike with hot brakes and hot suspension and stuff like that. So I prepped my bike after Moto 2 for Moto 3 in like 40 minutes. And Jelly, Eli's mechanic, and Justin's mechanic, Mohead, along with Trevor and Brent Duff and Justin Hobson that are on the team, all those guys helped me on Team France to get my bike ready for the third moto and make it out there for Dylan really in Team France. And I thought that was pretty cool that we all work together as a team, even though they bleed red, white, and blue for the US, but they're still willing to help me and Dylan on Team France. So
that's awesome, dude.
Cool.
I love that. I appreciate you telling me that. That was a great end to this interview. Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right,
awesome.
Alex.
Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Next up, I've got Josh Jelly Ellingson from Star Racing, mechanic for Eli Tomac. How was the overall Motocross of Nations experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's always pressure in those types of races because it's a team event and you want to show up and make sure everything's perfect, just like everyone else. You don't want to be the weak link. So you basically want everything to go as smooth as possible. And the added pressure of we haven't won in 11 years. And we're on home soil. So we are going there to win. We want to win. We want to end the losing streak and then bring it back to USA. So I would say, yeah, it was a little pressure, but overall experience, it was good. Friday, Saturday. I mean, we got there Wednesday, but just the whole week before Sunday was smooth. Qualifying races went smooth. And then the weather comes in on Sunday, and that just adds a whole nother element to an already long and tough race.
The multi-day format, I would imagine to me, it was kind of cool for one event.
For one event, yeah, I enjoyed it, but to do it for every race, I don't think it's a better layout than what we already are currently doing, just because right now we get there Thursday, set up Friday, and we're racing Saturday and we're out.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's a lot of time between everything that you have to do. So, I mean, it's just too much time. Saturday you have a warm up and then you have a qualifying race. And then between that is like 3 hours. And I mean, that's a lot of time. And then you get done with that. And by the time all the racing's done on Saturday and you prep for Sunday, you're not getting out of there till 7, 8 o'clock because you want to have everything perfect for the race that really counts on Sunday. So it's good for one event, but I like the in and out schedule that we're currently doing.
Okay. How'd you feel about the 2-bike setup?
The 2-bike setup it's got its pluses and its minuses. If you have an issue, and I mean, if you're the first and second moto, there's less time than a normal American National. So the 2-bike thing really works out to go to the line with a machine that's already been gone through. Everything's been checked on it, instead of rushing through your current race bike, washing it quick, changing clutch quick, and opens up for a possible mistake. So if you're Moto 1, Moto 2, it has its pluses. For me, I was Moto 1 and then Moto 3, so I had a decent amount of time. We just used our second bike for our sight laps.
Mm-hmm.
So I had plenty of time to do tires, do the clutch, and prep for Moto 3. So I didn't use it. I only used it for sight lap. The negatives of two bikes is it's just you already have a long day of taking care of one bike. Now you add another bike where we used it a decent amount the whole weekend. So you were still doing your normal maintenance to that bike as well. So it just added another element of work to it.
Of course. Last question really is the post-race celebration, the revving of the bikes. I know you're a Pulp listener. Steve hates that stuff. What was that moment like? Just revving the bike, Eli there, Chase, all the boys coming over, Honda, Yamaha under the star tent. What was that moment like for you? It was a long moment. It was like an hour. It was forever.
It was, you only dream of moments like that where everyone unites together. And I know Steve hates the revving of the bike, but it just, everyone was amped. Everyone was relieved. All the work that everyone put into this race was just taken out on that 101 machine. And it doesn't have feelings. It brought an amazing season, and everyone just got to enjoy a part of it. Everyone got a chance to twist the throttle of that bike and feel what Eli feels on a regular basis. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's loud, it's crazy, and that's one of the exciting parts of celebrating with your team in USA, and it just makes it that much more fun.
It was cool. I watched most of it, got to see it all. So, yeah, it was pretty cool to be a part of it and witness it anyway. Jelly, that's really all I got, man. Just a few questions. Easy enough.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate the call, and thanks for coming and rooting us on.